in his statement, he goes through every time that he had an interaction with Donald Trump. And he said that I had only two interactions with Barack Obama. One was sitting down talking, and he reiterated this in his in-person testimony. One was with Barack Obama for an hour talking about policing policy. The other was just to say goodbye in 2016.
See how little Obama took crime seriously?
He has already had 9 one-on-one, or he did before he was fired, one-on-one conversation with President Trump in 4 months, he writes. 3 in person, 6 on the phone. Initially, for his first January 6th briefing, this is now the president-elect, they went in and wanted to let him know about this dossier and about, as a person caught up in this investigation, he was not the subject of it, but he, from a counterintelligence perspective, had to inform President-elect Trump that, look, there is stuff out there that may or may not be true that the Russians may want to use against you. He writes, we also agreed, this is him talking to the Director of National Intelligence, that I would do it alone to minimize potential embarrassment to the president-elect, because, you know, this is the P tape he's talking about. And I was concerned that the briefing might create a situation where a new president came into office uncertain about whether the FBI was conducting counterintelligence investigation of his personal conduct. Do we have audio of when he brings up that LBJ Hoover situation? We don't. Okay, so in the hearing, he backed this up by saying that he didn't want it to be a J. Edgar Hoover situation, and Matt has informed us that, go Matt.
Hoover implied that LBJ was taping Nixon's campaign plane, and and Hoover knew that meant that Nixon would think that Hoover knew about Nixon's plan or scuttling of the Vietnam peace talks. And so that's why Nixon kept Hoover on, is because he thought Hoover knew about that stuff, but Hoover was
actually blackmailing him.
Yeah.
Now, was LBJ before or after Lincoln?
It has since come out, obviously, that Nixon did send Kissinger, and they did scuttle these peace talks, causing the deaths of thousands of U.S. servicemen and hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese and Cambodians as well. Nevertheless, obviously, Donald Trump has no awareness of that one way or another, but this was what was on Comey's mind. We did not have, and he assured President-elect Trump that we were not investigating him personally. Or I said, I should be prepared to assure President-elect Trump, this is as he's planning to go in there, that we're not investigating him personally, which was true. We did not have an open counterintelligence case on him. And he clearly, in his testimony, wanted to make that specific. We did not have an open counterintelligence case on him. It is conceivable, and it does not seem to have been addressed in any way that we know at this point, whether or not there's a criminal investigation involving him. He goes on, after his first conversation with President-elect, to get into the car, into an FBI vehicle, and type up his meeting with Trump on a laptop outside the Trump Tower the moment I walked out of the meeting. He gave 3 reasons as to why he did this. 1, because he was meeting with the president alone, or president-elect alone, which was an odd situation. 2, the context of this conversation. Unlike meeting with President Obama about police policy, it had nothing to do with Obama. So he didn't feel like he needed this type of record on it. In fact, is this where he says it? Okay, and 3, here he is explaining why he went right into an FBI vehicle to type it up on a laptop after he met with President-elect Trump.
What was it about that meeting that led you to determine that you needed to start putting down a written record?
A combination of things. I think the circumstances, the subject matter, and the person I was interacting with. Circumstances first, I was alone with the President of the United States, or the President-elect, soon to be President. The subject matter, I was talking about matters that touch on the FBI's core responsibility and that relate to the President-elect personally, and then the nature of the person. I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting, and so I thought it really important to document. That combination of things I'd never experienced before, but it led me to believe I got to write it down, and I got to write it down in a very detailed way.
Now, Warner who asked this question, Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, I think was so thrown off that when he reiterated what Comey just told him, said, you thought he would not be truthful. He used some other euphemism for lie when Comey clearly said, I was afraid he was going to lie about it. And I mean, it's unclear whether or not he had planned to type that up before he went in, or he just got into the car and said, give me a laptop. So here he is talking about his this is January 27th dinner. And in his written testimony, he talks about the president said, I need loyalty. I expect loyalty. I didn't move, speak, or change my facial expression in any way during the awkward silence that followed. We simply looked at each other in silence. The conversation then moved on, but he returned to the subject near the end of our dinner. I mean, just imagine how awkward it was.
I mean,
and so he says at the end of the dinner, I need loyalty. I replied, this is Comey, you will always get honesty from me. He paused and then said, that's what I want. Honest loyalty. I paused and then said, you will get that from me. During the dinner, the president returned to the salacious material I had briefed him on January 6th. This is the P tape, folks. As he had done previously, he expressed his disgust for the allegations and strongly denied them. I won the electoral vote, and I did not have anybody pee on me. He said he was considering ordering me to investigate the alleged incident to prove it didn't happen. I replied that he should give that careful thought because it might create a narrative that we were investigating him personally, which we weren't, and because it was very difficult to prove a negative. He said he would think about it and asked me to think about it. Do we have audio to support? And then here is Comey being asked about those salacious details in the Steele dossier. This is the dossier prepared by the former MI6 agent. Here is Burr asking Comey on this, and here is Comey's response.
At the time of your departure from the FBI, was the FBI able to confirm any criminal allegations contained in the Steele document?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think that's a question I can answer in an open setting because it goes into the details of the investigation.
Wow. In other words, I can't say no.
Can't say fake news.
Or in other words, yeah, so what? The guy likes to get peed on. At least he's making America great again.
Well,
and the pussies, and the homos, and everyone
But here's
else.
the point. He's not talking about the salacious details. He's talking about criminal activity in the Steele dossier, which may not necessarily have anything to do with Trump himself. May have to do with the other people mentioned who were involved in things like money laundering and whatnot. So we don't know. Then Comey, in his written testimony.
Just to be really quick about it, the Steele document does have a lot of things that are actually, as you indicate, I mean, far more disturbing than somebody's just kind of like personal, kind of gross sexual behavior. So I mean,
far more criminal.
Far more criminal. I guess nothing could be more disturbing.
I don't know that
fair
anything
enough,
could be more
fair
disturbing.
enough, but there is a lot more to that document than just that grotesque story.
I mean, even if we're talking about Trump and something vanilla, I still would have a problem.
I'm getting nauseous.
Nauseous
at this point already.
Hey, Sam Seder here. Folks, you probably heard about the whole YouTube advertiser apocalypse. Well, we're suffering from it too. We need your help. If you want to keep this show alive, you want us to be able to still put out clips on a regular basis, head over to our Patreon page. Here's the link right here or down below there. And just give us a couple bucks a month. and support this program. Really appreciate it.